Good morning. It's time to get in touch. Brought to you by Geisinger Muncie and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home. Every week, this public affairs show shines a spotlight on people and programs in our communities that improve the quality of life in Lycoming County and beyond. I'm Freddi Hammer, host of In Touch and news director at Backyard Broadcasting. Well, today we're talking about a powerful way to give the gift of life. April is Donate Life Month, which is a time to raise awareness about organ donation and honor those who have made that life-saving choice. Joining us today is Star Bixby. She's an RN, a trauma program manager and stroke coordinator from Geisinger Medical Center, and she's here with us today to talk about why organ donation matters to our communities, how it impacts patients and families, and how you can become a registered donor. Good morning, Star. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Freddie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's lovely to have you back because we trust your voice and we want to hear more information that you can share with us, especially during Donate Life Month. It's really quite important, isn't it?
It is. We take this very seriously in our healthcare system because, being level 1, 2, and 4 trauma centers, we really see people on their worst days sometimes. And unfortunately, they don't always have the outcomes that we wish they did. And with us being trauma centers, we try to make sure that we reach out to people and see if they would be interested in donating organs because it does help others, live productive lives and to actually have life. So it's a real important message that we like to give, especially during the month of April when it's Donor Month.
You say it makes health better and easier for people. I mean, what is the point behind that? That the fact that people are able to heal faster?
Absolutely, and we don't stop and think about it, but it was very eye-opening for me when I got an announcement from the Gift of Life coordinators, and it was talking about organ donation this year, and it showed the stadium that they played the Super Bowl in, and it said, you look at the stadium, and it holds however many people. Well, there's more people waiting for organs than what you can hold in that football stadium.
Oh, my word.
Over 100,000 people are still waiting for organs, and I don't know why that. I mean, I've done this for so many years, almost, and it never really hit me until I saw that visual, and I'm like, that is just overwhelming to think about. And if you're one of those patients or their families on that wait list, for some people, they wait their whole lives and they don't get an organ and they die waiting for those organs. So that's why we talk about it with people. We try to bring awareness to this, to see if people would be willing to give that gift of life, so to speak.
I have it on my driver's license. That's how I was able to become an organ donor. I want to give my organs. If I can no longer use them, I would prefer to have someone young use them, and that would be the best thing for anybody, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, and we totally respect when it's not for everybody. Some people just don't believe in organ donation, and that's fine too. It's a personal choice, quite honestly, and I am also a registered donor. Mm-hmm. I think for me, I've taken care of so many people on their worst days, and I know what it's like for the people who are waiting. I've seen both sides of it, and when you lose a loved one, there's no bigger loss. You can't fill that void. You can't fill that place in your heart where that person lived. But if you donate organs, that person lives on in another way. And, meeting several people who have received organs from others, it's life-changing. And they are forever grateful, for that second chance at life or to have a better quality of life. And some of these are little ones like we do. There's a pediatric transplant week that we also look at in April, where there's over 2,200 children waiting on a donation list. And these are children, waiting for organs, waiting for transplant organs to be made available for them. But the good thing is, and I think it was the whole year of 2025, we saved almost 1,900 kids through organ donations just for pediatrics.
That's wonderful.
So it's pretty amazing what you can do, by just donating organs, whether it be organs themselves, whether it be tissue, bone. I mean, there's so many ways you can donate.
You don't necessarily have to be in a fatal situation either. You can donate a kidney. Is this under that same umbrella?
Yes, it is. Living donors are a big part of what you can do. Living donors, you can do your kidney. You can do your liver. And most people don't realize if you give a piece of your liver, it grows back. So there's a lot of people, that can use these organs that are what we call living donations. So there's a huge need for things like that, Freddie. The list could go on, and the stories that you can see during Organ Donation Month, it truly does move you to see what somebody else can do to make the lives of other people better.
Absolutely. That selfless work is just incredible. And in fact, I want to share with you my niece's husband, so my nephew, in their early 30s, he had heart issues all his life and then received a heart from someone just a few years ago. And I had no idea how alive he was able to then be. It was so incredible to watch, and we were so grateful for that family that was able to donate that heart to my nephew. Now he's, he takes a lot of medications, and he's working to make sure that that's all right, but he's a whole new person, and that's what it can do for people.
Yeah, it's really amazing because until you witness it for yourself, what these people go through on a daily basis, they sit by the phone and they wait for that phone call to get an organ. I know when I was flying with Lifelight, we did many transports of taking patients who were waiting for an organ to their destination so they could get their transplanted organs because it's such a timely process. And those patients were just so grateful and overwhelmed knowing that all of this, waiting was finally coming to an end and that they may have improved life.
My favorite thing to see is when a family who has lost a son or a daughter, and then they go to the person who received that organ, and then they love on those people that have received the organ because, like you say, it's the person's living on. It's one of the best feelings. Even though it's sad, it's also very hopeful.
Yeah, I know you say things like that, and until you see it for yourself, like you said, you don't realize the gratitude and the life-changing gift that they gave somebody. Like you see a lot of times where people will go up and they will actually listen to their loved one's heart in somebody else's chest. And to me, I'm like, that is so moving.
Yes.
And it's just incredible that you get to hear your loved one's heart in somebody else, knowing it gave them life. And to me, how do you say thank you for that? It's just a gift that you cannot thank enough for.
It's a priceless gift, absolutely. Why do you think people have a little bit of a reservation for donating organs? Is there typical things that people think or feel?
I think some people think that, it's one of those things where when you die, your body is sacred and you shouldn't violate your body to give to others. Or some of it's honestly religious beliefs, which, we always honor those.
Sure.
But I think some of it's just, honestly, Freddie, is lack of knowledge of what it truly is. Because so many years ago, it was really looked down upon. Like, you did not donate organs. It was not the thing to do. And it's, I think, through education and programs and patient testimonials, people have learned that this isn't, a bad thing. This isn't, something that'll give like a social stigma to it. It's actually something good, and it's something that truly improves lives and improves the health of others. And I think that's the message that we're finally starting to get out to people because we're educating and we're making it available to people.
What would be the process if someone was going through this, or going through the worst day of their lives, as you say? What is the process that the medical community then takes to make it comfortable for a family? You notify them that their loved one was an organ donor, and you must ask permission and go from there.
That's correct. So we have a really great working relationship with our Gift of Life teams, and each hospital within the healthcare system has a representative. And these teams are wonderful to work with. Once we notify them somebody who could be a potential donor, and we discuss the case with them, they decide then, is it a good time to approach family and talk about the process and what it would entail. And they usually are the ones that take over from there. We just help support them, but most importantly, we help support the families, because it is a very difficult decision for them to do, because they know, their loved one is truly going to pass. So it's one of those things where the biggest job on the nurse then is to support the family and answer all their questions and, be there when they really need that extra the help. So I think for us, we just really rely on our team from Gift of Life, and they walk everybody through the process. And I think the thing that's really nice is many hospitals now, when organs are donated at Geisinger, you'll see they'll change the color of their lights on the Geisinger symbols on the side of the building, the lighted Geisinger symbol. Mm-hmm. They change it green to honor that person who has donated organs. So everybody knows when the lights are green on the building, somebody's given that gift of life to somebody. And a lot of times now you will see hospitals, they'll do what they call an honor walk, where if the family gives permission, when they take that person to the operating room to harvest organs, there's an honor walk throughout the hallways as a way to show respect to that donor and their families for giving that gift to others. And to me, every time I think about that, it just gives me goosebumps, because I'm like, what a better way to honor somebody, especially as a healthcare provider, to stand there and respect them as they walk past you. That's incredible.
It really is. And certainly with Geisinger, sort of the Geisinger values, it's like that's really upholds the things that you try to perform each day with the dignity and respect of others.
Absolutely. We, it's one of those things where we're always, tell our teams, you want to be compassionate. You want to make sure that your patients and your families always come first. And it's even more to the forefront when you're talking about organ donation. Mm-hmm. It's like you said, it's just a horrible time for people who have lost somebody. But on the other side of that story is someone like your family member who was waiting and waiting, hoping that somebody would do that selfless act and give an organ, and look what it's done for him. It's life-changing. It
really is. They weren't going to have any more children. They had one sort of as a surprise, and then they thought, well, no, because of this organ issue. And their doctor said, nope, this isn't genetic. This is just an issue. And so they're able to have more kids. They know that now, and it's such a wonderful life-giving thing for them. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually really incredible what it does. And like I said, I think a lot of it's just through donation and education through donation that we've helped people to understand the process better. I was looking up some of the information because we're all getting ready for our donation month next month, and it was telling in some of the literature that I read that 49,000 organ transplants from almost 24,000 donors brought new life to patients and their families last year alone. That's incredible when you think about the numbers of people. And it takes 2 seconds. You just go to your DMV and you register. You can register online to be a donor. It's such a simple process to do, and it takes literally seconds to do.
Yeah, they say, do you want to be a donor? You say yes or no. There you go. Clunk. There's a little heart on your license after that.
Absolutely. It's not easy. And if you don't want to go and deal with your, the DMV, because I know that can be kind of stressful for people to go there.
True.
They can go online. It's so simple to do. Go to either registerme.org or donatelife.net. They'll walk you right through all the steps, or if you need help with any of that, just reach out to any of us. We'd be more than happy to help walk you through that process.
Does the Geisinger Care Team set up meetings with families or any kind of thank you to those maybe living donors that would be giving kidneys or something? Are there parties or celebrations that you may have throughout the year?
Absolutely. You'll see throughout the month of April, it's mostly at our larger campuses that they will do it, is we do a presentation of people who are willing to share their stories, whether they're donors or whether they're recipients, and they always look for people who are willing to share their story. And they'll bring them out in, usually today we do our Gift of Life flag raising, quite honestly. And they'll share their story so that people can actually connect that story to a real person and a real situation. And some of those that I've been to are pretty overwhelming, quite honestly, because you can see what these patients and the families go through. And a lot of times what they'll do with the flags, once they pull the flags down, they'll give those flags to the families that have come to tell their stories. So there's definite meaning when you give them that Gift of Life flag. And the families get recognized at these ceremonies. And, it's sad because a lot of times when we see these people who are recipients, they're not just people who are older in age. These are younger people who have a full life ahead of them, that they're getting a new lease on life for. So to me, it just shows that importance. It brings it home.
It certainly does. The legacy, of course, to honor those that gave to them. I mean, I think that could probably humble you in quite a serious way.
Oh, it does. And I think the theme for this year is just that it's like, showing families that their legacy does live on in others, whether it's through an organ or skin. Like, people don't think about skin or bones, but there's a lot of people who need those items as well. People who are unfortunately severely damaged in fires, they need skin.
Yeah.
And many people are very thankful for that because they don't have any of their own to use. So for many of these patients who need skin grafts and things like that, that gift of skin is amazing. And you see more and more advances. Like, how many patients have we seen in the news that have had total face transplants?
Oh, yes.
Due to horrible burns or animal injuries or things of that nature. I mean, who would have ever thought in our lifetime that we would see people leading productive lives after a face transplant? It's incredible, the advancements we have made. We've come a long way from harvesting just, hearts and kidneys and things. It's amazing what we can do now.
Yeah, I was wondering about the past of that. Like, when did organ donation become prominent? You were talking earlier about how it used to be a little more of a taboo, but now it became better. So is it in between there that it became a little more easy, or the advancements in medicine came around?
I think so, and I think you see more of it highlighted in the news. It wasn't hidden away. People were actually sharing it and showing it. Mm-hmm. And I think, sometimes social media, it can be our friend or it can be our enemy. So I think, in a lot of these stories, you're seeing where these people's lives have been horribly impacted because nothing worse than facial disfigurement and things like that. And these people are actually now able to go outside. They're able to go out into public and show their face. And I can't imagine what that stigma would be like for people. So it's just, I think, having everything brought forward, and for these brave people who are willing to share their stories and show their progress, I think those are the unsung heroes, right? They're the ones out there bearing it all for everybody and opening themselves up to everybody looking and seeing and judging, so to speak, the process that they've gone through. But to me, I think they're heroes for going that route and sharing their stories so that others can see that there is hope.
Do you have any personal experiences with people who received transplanted organs that you've seen or that you've been a part of that have been really moving or special to you?
I personally have not. Somebody that I know, an acquaintance that donated to their family member. And, it's a process to go through. Mm-hmm. It's a lot emotionally. It's a lot physically. Sometimes the surgeries can be pretty rough, so to speak. It's not an easy process, but, when the only answer you have is to give a part of yourself in hopes of keeping that other person alive, it's just a choice you make. Mm-hmm. And for many of these people who donate, especially when they're family or friends, it's not even a question of should they, but when can they? Mm-hmm. Most people, if it was me and I had a sibling or somebody that I was very close with that needed an organ, it wouldn't even be a question for me to be a living donor. But I think I'm also very jaded, I guess, because I've done this for so many years. I've taken care of people on their absolute worst days. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you can do something to make that day a little bit better for somebody, even though the other family has made the ultimate sacrifice. I don't know. It's just hard not to recognize that during the month of April.
Why April? Is that?
And it's always been the month of April. We do a blue and green day where everybody celebrates and they wear blue and green. Okay. They do like a special run down in Pittsburgh and Philly areas where they do like a marathon run. And a lot of these events that we do that raise money, they go to their Gift of Life home that they have in the city where families who are waiting for transplants can stay with their family members, and they'll take food. They do everything for these homes, especially during the month of April. So it's quite the process that they have in place to help not only support the patients, but the families, because a lot of times they're financially drained from all of the care that the family member receives and their medications and the travel. So it's nice that they know they have a place they can go.
Do people have to raise money to receive organs, or does it go through insurance? How does that work?
What they do is the money that they raise goes through the Gift of Life. They are the ones who do the fundraisers. We just help promote them. As an organization, we just help support the activities. So it's just one of those things where we don't personally raise monies for them, but we just do the awareness and the education.
So you have opportunity to be an organ donor by saying yes when they ask you at the DMV, but there's also like the registries for the kidneys, and I would think that you would also register for different like skin donations and things like that. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
That's true. And when you go in, you can go, like I said, on the websites, and it'll walk you through all those questions, Freddi. Like, do you want to be a donor? Do you want to donate just your eyes or your skin or your bones? Or it'll ask you what it is you do and don't want to donate, and you can just make it as specific as you want in there.
I think it's wonderful that you have all this knowledge. And of course, as a trauma nurse, you've seen your share of the both sides of this. So thank you so much for being, sacrificing your time and your emotions for this as well. Oh,
absolutely. I appreciate the time to talk with you to get the message out. Like I said, I truly believe in this, and I think that it's one of those things that needs to be talked about, and it needs to be shared so that we can change the lives of others.
You certainly can. We want to thank you, Nurse Star Bixby. She's a trauma program manager and stroke coordinator at Geisinger Medical Center, talking today about April being Donate Life Month. And just one more time about a website you were talking about so that we can go and get the questions answered about donating our organs for the gift of life.
Absolutely. Like I said, if they go to registerme.org or to the donatelife.net, they can get on there and they'll walk them right through the process.
Thank you, Star Bixby, for joining us today on April, it being Donate Life Month, raising awareness about organ donation to honor those who've made that choice. Thank you so much for sharing all this information with us here today on In Touch.
Okay, thank you for having me, Freddi.
In Touch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us for questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays 570-323-8200 or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archived files of our In Touch shows, find our Backyard Podcasting link on any Backyard Broadcasting website or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. The programming discussed here on In Touch does not necessarily reflect the feelings or opinions of the management or staff. Thanks for listening to In Touch. Brought to you by Geisinger, Muncie, and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home.